What's up, everybody? Welcome to another one. It's gonna be a little bit of a different video today. As you can see, it's a beautiful day out, but I actually injured my back, so I'm gonna do something that's a little bit less labor intensive. I'm gonna try and make my own lure, probably like a hula popper. So I have here beside me a piece of a limb. I'm gonna cut it up and I'm gonna put it on a lathe and I'm gonna get this. Alright, I got my piece cut here and it's around, it looks like it's about 7 inches long. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find my centers. Even though the center ring's right there, that may not actually be the dead center of this piece. And then I got this little limb. I'm probably gonna put that where I'm not actually going to be hitting on that. Then I'm going to find the center of this. As you can see, where it's dried, it started to crack. So I'm probably going to be pulling my lure mostly out of this portion of my limb, and then I won't use the whole piece. This will probably just stay as it is. So let's find the center. I have this nifty little tool here, and I'll get it roughly lined up. That's pretty close. That's pretty close, and then I'll just poke it with my awl and make a hole. So you can kind of see it's pretty close to where center is. And then on this side, get it a little closer and right there. And make that a little more apparent. Alright, now let's go chuck this up on the lathe. Alright, I got the piece all chucked up here, good and tight between centers. I went ahead and sanded this knob down on my belt sander, and that's because I want my tool rest as close as I can get it pretty well to the workpiece. So I'm going to get a little bit closer there, make sure it's hitting. So I probably had it right where I needed it. Move it out a little bit more. That in right there. So I'll get my large roughing gouge, take down this bark and get it to where I can actually seat this piece into the jaws, and then that way I can just actually hold on to the piece itself, and then we'll start I may even go ahead and rough this to a rough round, and then we'll start turning it down into our popper. So that didn't take very long, and I'm almost already down past all the bark. I'll have to work a little more back here, but I'm trying just to get this kind of round down to actual wood where I can kind of see what I'm working with, since this was a limb that was laying outside. kind of got down past where that knot was. I'm afraid I'm gonna work into this, like the end portion where this bark still is, because I'm afraid I'm hitting my metal jaws with my tool. So I may just nip that off on the bandsaw and just cut it here, because we're not going to use this. There's actually a pit right there that's out of the wood. So we're going to use this more straight grained wood here. I've got it pretty well down past the bark. So I will bring you back after I've got this end issue settled. Okay, so I have this chucked up in my jaws now tighter. I'm gonna take this down roughly to the size that I want the large end of the popper to be. I think I'm gonna do that around an inch. So I have these calipers and I'm gonna work it down until I can get those down to my 1 inch diameter. And then from there we'll taper it down and I'll show you how long I'm gonna make it whenever we get to that point. Okay, let's see, how close am I? Almost there, not quite. I'll have to take a little bit more off. That has to be pretty close. Actually, right there it is. And it's just a hair under, which is completely fine because we're going to taper this down anyways. But I need to mark where I want my lure to basically start and stop. So it's sunk in a little bit, as you can see here. The tip of this tail stalk is sunk down into the wood because this is pretty soft. This is maple, which is fine because we're gonna actually scoop that out, because that popper needs to grab that water and pop it up as it's being pulled forward. So I was originally gonna cut this back a little bit, but since I went over a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and make that. I may true up the end to keep it straight, but then scoop it out a little bit, and so it's like that and dished out. So if I'm starting about here, I can go ahead and mark that. I have that marked, and then I'm going to make this kind of a bigger popper, so I think I'm going to make it about right there. So I have this much room to play with, taper it down. I can go with a really steep, really fast taper, or I could go real long and then just taper it off at the end. But I'm just gonna see where it takes me, and I'll get started now. You can see kind of what I did there was I just stair-stepped this down to smaller diameters, and then that way I can just smooth it all out and take it down. I'll probably progressively do that. this is kind of the shape I'm going to go for, which is kind of almost like a chalice or a cup kind of look. Wider brim, larger body, and then a smaller body. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to go ahead and true up this end and get a concave shape cut in that. Okay, I got that dished out to where I'm satisfied on it. You can see it kind of sits up higher on the tailstock. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down to about the size that I want it, and then I'll start sanding, and then we'll part this thing off and have our lure ready to paint and add hardware. This out of the way, and then I'll start some sanding. So I have a piece of 150 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to give this a light sanding down. I don't have anything where I can get pinched up, so I'm going to do this on, but I'm going to turn down. I'm going to turn down the speed significantly while I'm doing this. It doesn't need to be real fast, and I'll get this sanded up. We'll part it off. That's better. I need to take it down some more. I'll bring him back whenever I've got this thing all sanded down. Alright, as you can see there, it came into a lot smoother profile. So there's a little bit of, I guess that's not as bad as I thought. I thought there was a little deeper cut there, but it's really just how the shadow lays on it. But I'm going to part this off right here, and then we can take it off and drill the holes for the hardware. Alright, there we have it. Dished out. That's alright that it's not sanded. All this will need to be sealed after I get my holes drilled. So I have my hole drilled in the back, in the front, and then for one hook hanger on the bottom. So whenever this is scooping water across, I have a hook here, line tie up front. So now I need to seal this, and I'm just going to use super glue, liquid super glue. Cover the whole thing, and then whenever it's fully covered, I'll put in the twist wire line ties that I'm going to make up next. I have it fully covered in super glue now, except for the inside where my awl's holding it. I'm just going to clamp it right here and let it dry, and then after that we'll do the innermost part, put those wire ties in, and then we'll be ready to paint it. Alright, so I got my hook hangers in. I just made them out of twist wire. I got it all sealed on the inside of the cup there. And now I'm just going to put down a just a matte finish. I think I'm going to go with black, and then I'm going to add color on top of that after it dries to kind of add any other kind of design to the bait. So I'm just going to use normal Krylon rattle can, and then I'll add my other sprays. I put this box down just to kind of catch my overspray. That should do it. So I'll let this dry, and then we'll add some color to it. Okay, so the black has dried now, and I've put this piece of screen door mesh over it. I'm going to put just a pattern, kind of a scale pattern, and I'm just going to do red. So there'll be a bunch of red squares on this when I take it apart, and then I'll probably fill the actual cup, like where the mouth would be, with red also. So it'll basically be a simple black and red top water. And I'm just going to use some more red spray paint. Now I'll let that dry, and then I'll put a final clear coat over it. Alright, so when I went to take the mesh off, it didn't work. I'd actually done this before with this bait, and you can get a nice checker pattern. But I know what I've done wrong. I got too close, and it turned most of the blade, or the bait red. So what I did was I took this old plastic glove I had and just blotted it. So I kind of made this just Mod Podge red and black color popper. Kind of looks a little neat. Not exactly what I was going for, but I'm going to improvise with it, and it could still come out cool. Alright, so now that the bait's all completely dry, I'm just going to dip it in this Helmsman urethane, and then I'll let it drip dry. Alright, now I'll hang it up. Alright, it's the next day, and I got everything all clear coated. You can kind of see the shine on it there. It's kind of there's hard to see. It's bad lighting in here. It's kind of overcast outside, but let me take you outside and I'll see if it's a little brighter. Alright, outside it might be a little bit better lighting there. Like I said, simple black and red popper. That's not much to it. Just put that clear coat on it, and then Next thing you know, I throw it out on the water and try and catch fish with it. Anyhow, like I said, everybody, a little bit different video. This is something I've wanted to try for a little bit, so I went ahead and did it for you guys too, brought you along for it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions, something I might do in the future, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. But until then, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.